I'm Mark Pettit, and let's queer up trans rights. 8 sheriff's deputies fired for covering up officer's attack on a trans man. 8 Los Angeles County deputies have been fired for covering up a brutal assault on Emmett Brock, a transgender man. Deputy Joseph Benza III admitted to attacking Brock in February 2023 after an alleged road rage incident. Benza followed Brock for nearly 2 miles before assaulting him in a Whittier parking lot. Video evidence showed Benza slamming Brock to the ground, punching him, and smashing his head into the pavement. The attack left Brock with a concussion and multiple injuries. Brock had initially been charged with felonies, which were later dropped. He lost his job as a teacher due to these false charges. Benza also admitted to falsifying reports and encouraging deputies to delete incriminating text messages. The 8 deputies who participated in the cover-up have been relieved of duty. Benza pleaded guilty to depriving Brock of his rights and is awaiting sentencing. Meanwhile, authorities have not announced charges against the deputies involved in the cover-up. Brock's case highlights ongoing challenges in protecting LGBTQ rights, even in very liberal Los Angeles County. I think it's amazing that there are no formal or official charges that have been brought up yet, that just firing these people is maybe supposed to be enough. I don't know if y'all know this, but I went to school for criminology specifically, and nowhere in any kind of higher education or analyzed experience of criminology is law enforcement supposed to work like this. It should be proactive. It's being in the community. It's knowing their needs. It's truly being there to protect and serve. Yeah. But I think policing, I know, it's also one of the most stressful
and hard. Yeah.
Suicide, some of the highest rates. So they have to band together in a certain way, and that becomes really toxic and keeps just horrible things like this going
But help
on.
is available. There are like
it is, and I'm not making any kind of excuse.
And am I the only one concerned that this kind of law enforcement brutality and aggressive behavior will only worsen over the course of the next 4 years?
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Because he thinks that he can tell them what to do.
Completely. And it's like, LA cops didn't learn shit from Rodney King.
Right.
30
Nothing.
years later.
Okay, 30 years later. Thank you. Okay. Emmett probably weighed $120 wet with a brick in his pocket.
That guy was huge.
Okay, and that cop was ginormous. And what he did to him, you know how much that does to your poor little brain when you're being knocked against the concrete floor over and over again? It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch, okay? And I just got 3 words. Get Emmett paid.
Yeah.
Get him his money, okay? Because how dare you? And again, like you said, yes, they all have to band together and the whole brotherhood and all that shit. But there's also a human being that you're beating the crap out of, that probably will never be the same.
Never.
A school teacher, Mark, of all things, that lost his job because of it.
I got 3 words. Lock them up.
All
of them. Don't fire them. Lock them up.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, because they're officers, they got a slap on the wrist. If this was any other scenario, that person would be facing trial immediately.
What's also worrisome is that I think this is where a lot of these lone wolf attacks come from. People who are kicked out of some bigger kind of fraternal organization, whatever it might be, and they're going to find a way to get their crew together to stand up for what they believe in, and it ends up being practically to terrorist level activities.
Right, driving.
That's the next step.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But it's, we have a strained relationship with law enforcement as it is, at least the Black and brown community. It's hard to trust a cop. It's hard to call for a cop when you're in need, okay, in our community, So then you see things like that and they just kind of support your feeling of not having those kind of relationships with law enforcement. And it breaks my heart because we have LGBTQ law enforcement who are great. And it's just a few apples. It's not all of law enforcement. You don't put on that suit and become a dick. You don't, but some do. Some do, and it's like, you weren't hugged enough, or girls didn't look at you enough in high school, and all of a sudden you've got a gun and you've got this outfit, and you've got this car, and you think you've got power. According to some people who saw, Emmett had given him the finger, and that's how it all had started.
Really?
All right, so it made you feel like you had a small penis and you had to go chase him down and beat him down. That's not right.
Terrible.
That's horrible.
There you go. So that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.